good morning, and welcome to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33 WHPR, Comcast 20 in Detroit. And today really is a beautiful day because it's a lot warmer than it's been in quite a while. The sun's not shining, at least yet, but I think we're going to have an excellent show and something that we're going to talk about some things that you should be interested in because as the course of life goes, we get older and our parents get older, our aunts, uncles, our grandparents, everybody gets older. And we have to think about them, their care, their health, and everything like that. And I have Dr. Margaret Betts on. She's a friend of the show, and she's back gratefully with me. And we're going to talk about elder care and everything about it. So if you have a person in your family who is getting older and that you're starting to think about what should we do, how can we prepare, because people are living longer. A lot of people are.
Yes.
Good morning, Dr.
Good
Betts.
morning. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty
Listening
well.
Audience, yes.
And it's warmer than it was the other day.
Yeah, it almost felt like a heat wave.
Yeah. Heat wave.
Yeah, that's a familiar tune, isn't it?
Yeah. Martha and the Vandellas,
Right,
Motown represent. But aren't we getting older?
Some of us are.
Yeah.
But chronologically, we are. From the day that you're born, as the Bible says, we're only here for a short period of time. And as we are born, we are bound to die. So we should prepare, not look forward, but prepare for it.
Yes, and prepare in different ways.
Yes,
and,
yes.
I have a mom who's 94 years old, and she's still independently living independently.
That's great.
And everything. But, there's some things that I'm starting to get concerned about. I finally took her car keys the other day.
Yeah, that's, see, you and your mother are probably close. You probably
Yes.
monitor her comings and goings, and you realize that she's declining.
Right.
Lots of families aren't as close to their seniors, their older loved ones, and they don't know those little telltale signs.
What are some of the little telltale signs that start to tell you that a person is needing more assistance now?
Well, certainly what we recommended, not just, some of the telltale signs, when they start repeating themselves. Certainly we...
My daughter says I repeat myself now.
So your daughter's listening, huh?
Yeah, but it's just because
It's not,
I'm
you're
telling
not ready
her.
to take your keys
No,
yet, though.
no. Just because I said, did you remember to do,
But certainly really not, and I don't
Not
think that's
that
it.
kind,
But
right.
asking, what day is it? And you tell them the day, well, what day is the day? And they keep asking similar questions. Other times they will drive their car and get lost, can't remember how to get home. When we diagnose or when the families realize that their family members have dementia, it is usually mild to advanced. The mild dementia is usually the patient is functioning. They're functioning in their homes. They may not do the same thing that they did before. You may see some slow weight loss, because what happens is when the brain, your brain, a non-demented brain, I always compare it to a boiled egg. The brain with dementia is like a spider web. So the boiled egg has more fibers, it can store more information, and then therefore you can function much better. Of course, the brain with the spider webs, those neurons will fire every now and again. And you'll say, well, yesterday mom wasn't so well, so she was probably putting on yesterday. And today she's right on. Well, it's probably those neurons are firing a little bit better the day that she can remember what day it is and tell you what you wore when you were in the third grade.
What is that from, this day to day? It's just everything is starting to get fuzzy?
Well, the brain, again. A healthy brain is like a boiled egg.
Yeah.
With as thick and dense as a boiled egg. And a demented brain is like a spider web. So look at the both of them.
Yeah.
And I liken it to, remember those old movies where you call someone and the telephone lady has to bring up a cord, put it up here, bring
Yes,
one over,
yes,
put one in.
the
before
switchboard.
The switchboard, before you can talk.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the brain is doing in rapid speed.
Right. Right.
And when the boiled egg becomes a spider web, those neurons just they don't fire as well or as fast.
Would you explain the meaning of dementia to my audience before we go on to talk about that and everything?
The gradual progression of short-term memory loss. As we age, we will change in some aspects, but short-term dementia is short-term memory loss, not long-term, because long-term memory is stored in a different part of your brain. But short-term is our functioning capacity. Eating, bathing, clothing, cooking.
But they can remember things that happened years ago, right down to the most minute detail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because that's stored in another part of the brain. But the periphery, or the outside of the brain, is where maybe about a half an inch or so. It's where we do everything that we normally do. You know, we have our we call it the satiety center. It tells us when we're hungry. And if you knock that out, you're not hungry. So a loved one will call and say, "Mom, did you eat?" And Mom will think, "Well, I'm not hungry, so I must have eaten." But so I always ask my families, go and eat with Mom, and you'll realize what she's doing, what she's not doing. Because oftentimes they will slowly decrease weight.
So once people start to realize this about their loved one, and also physical capacity too, right?
Right.
It's not only the brain, it could be physical. They could have all their functions, but physically they're
No, they don't have all their functions. They may lose the ability to hold their urine, this bile in the stool. They may not be able to talk. They may not even be able to recognize you. I have some patients who will look at their loved one and says, "Where is Vivian?" And
right.
Vivian's looking right at
Well,
them.
what I meant was, if we have an elder person who does remember everything, and their physical capacity is no longer like it was.
Right, right.
Shouldn't we start talking about assisted living?
Assisted living, well, really, you should. Assisted living is something that we must talk about early on. And not only in assisted living, but we need to couch it in advanced directives. Mom, what do you want me to do when you can't do for yourself?
Okay.
A dad, what are you going to do with your business? Or should I help you? So that you will have dad's or your family's pure desires without them being encumbered by forgetfulness, loss of memory, etc. So an advanced directive, power of attorney, guardianship, or conservator, those are gradual legal degrees of protection for our seniors that should be put in place.
So there's no set age. So when should we just start talking? When we notice they're getting older?
When we notice. I have a patient who's 85, and her daughter was 46 when we started diagnosing her with dementia. Now, dementia before age 65 is Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's, and everybody thinks I have Alzheimer's, I don't have dementia.
For old timers.
Right, that's yes.
Old time.
It is pre-senile dementia, and senility is supposed to occur at around 62, 65.
That's funny because we used to hear about, when I was a
And
little
laugh.
kid, people would talk about senile. That senile was really the
Right.
term that was used a lot,
Right,
wasn't it?
Right, right.
So, wow, that's really interesting. So pre-65
Is Alzheimer's.
is Alzheimer's.
It's a Dr. Alzheimer that diagnosed a condition that was identical to dementia in a 40-year-old. That was about 150 years ago. And that's how Alzheimer's, the name became known as Alzheimer's.
Oh,
after him.
okay, Dr. Alzheimer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now we know.
Now we know, yes, yes.
Okay, so some of the signs are
Repeating yourself, not eating, being unkept, your body as well as your home, not being involved in the things that you normally like doing. If you play bridge, if you like going to the show, like walking, you tend to slow down and have less interest in the things that you used to do. And that's over a gradual period of time. The most striking symptom is weight loss. If your mother lives in Alabama, where I was born, and you go and visit her once a year or once every other year, you see this gradual weight loss, and even though you might think it's healthy, well, mom is now getting her weight under control. But then you go back and she's skin and bones, or she's in the hospital. That creates an issue too. So sometimes malnutrition is the onset of physical abnormalities, because the body needs nutrients to function.
Now, a lot of elder people, they kind of resist sometimes help. I mean, what if you say, Mom or Dad, you should move in with us? You think that's a good thing?
It all depends. And I do have families who have moved their loved ones in with them. Everybody now has different situations. When we were back in 50 years ago, when our grandmothers, uncles, aunts, everybody lived together, they had to live together because there were not any, and nor could we afford assisted living, nursing homes, and really we didn't have jobs to afford independence. Now that we're so independent, we like our space. So it's a very delicate situation to ask mom to live in with you. Because if mom has been living by herself and she doesn't like noise, and you got your friends over all the time or you have kids, that's going to create a problem. But I think every family needs to really just start discussing this, believe it or not, at age 50, even though we think we're so young at age 50.
Yeah.
I have a living trust. And when my kids were 2 and 3 years old, to let someone know, and at that time it was my lawyer, who was a very dear friend of mine, if there was something that happened to me and I couldn't take care of my children, what needed to happen for them. And then they could take over by the time they're 35. I don't think that they should be able to take over before then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sharing that because you don't wait until you're 60, 70 to say, oh, I need to do this. And you don't necessarily need assets. You need to let them know, okay, do you want a funeral? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want a memorial? That should be your choice. It should be your choice. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
I don't kid with my children. They think I kid. I tell them I want to be cremated. I want to be buried in my backyard, so I'll live there forever. And they laugh, but that's my wish. You're looking at me like, what is wrong with you?
No,
but no, those are.
But I was just saying, with the backyard, do you have a
little urn
is
or
it
something?
A zone?
I like
the urn.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like. I like being outside, and I like growing, digging in the dirt. I guess that's from my heritage, and what I'm hoping to do is to get them to begin to talk about it, because whenever I mention something like that, they are backing off, and that's what most families do. They think I'm not telling them something. They think, oh, Mom is not telling us something. She's getting ready to turn the corner or turn the page, and I tell them, no, these are things that we need to talk about, because as we live, so shall we die, and we need to prepare for that. That's all.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about some of the signs, weight loss, different things like that. How do you talk to your parents? Or sometimes, do you think, some parents maybe realize it, don't you think? They realize, well, I'm not able to do the same things that I used to do. I know my mother says to me, I'm not as strong as I used to be. My mother moved furniture around every month. Every month she was changing her bedroom, and she doesn't do that.
So it's exercise.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't exercise. The older we get, the least likely we are to exercise. We don't walk outside because we're afraid. We don't have the treadmills in the house because we live alone and we don't want to fall. We don't want to go to a gym because, number one, it costs. There's people around. We don't want to be involved with a lot of people. So we don't exercise a lot. What physicians will do for some of their patients is give them physical therapy, and they don't even want physical therapy, but it's really strengthening, and with an attempt to keep them as physically active as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's falling too. They may fall, break a bone, You may see a little scar on them, or a little scratch, a little bruise. Don't accept that they hit their hand on the door or bumped into something or something like that. It's probably that they're trying to cover up falling.
What if your senior is resistant to moving, or, they don't want assistance? They, in their mind, think that they can still do it.
And most of them will be resistant. What needs to happen, and I always share with anyone who listen, would you let your 3-year-old play in the street or on the freeway? Absolutely. You say, fast, quick, in a hurry. Absolutely not. Well, your loved one, your mother and your father's become your 3-year-old. So then you have to take the steps to secure to protect them and their well-being. And there are lots of steps. The advance directive, as I mentioned before, and the power of attorney. Those are documents, legal documents, that you can put in place during the time that the patient is really aware and alert and know what they want. If they get to the place where they're resistant and they're keeping the door open and they're leaving the pots on the stove and everything's burning, they're running outside and calling the fire department every other day, and the police comes and gets them out of the snow, etc. You have to go downtown and get a guardianship.
Oh, okay.
Either emergency guardianship, which you can get within, I think, a month, or if you go through the natural process, it's 3 months. When you get a guardianship, you get a conservatorship, because the guardian takes care of the health, and the conservator takes care of the financial and the business of the person.
So you have to give one or the other, or a combination thereof? Can you?
It is ideal. That's why I say we talk to your loved ones in their 50s and 60s. It's ideal that you begin the process with a living will, if you can, a power of attorney, and that's just a document you can get from one of the business stores, Office Depot, Kinko's, Staples.
Right.
And you can have your loved one sign it, you sign it, and have a
Notary?
a notary sign it.
And then where do you put it?
You keep it in a safe place.
Okay.
You give a copy to your physician, give one maybe to the person who's going to take care of you, and you keep a copy at your house.
Well, you mentioned wills. They also have wills at the at Staples
At
and
Staples,
stuff.
and you can just fill in the blanks. It's so simple, it's so easy. It all depends on your assets or how comfortable you feel. Some families have lawyers in their families. Some families will have legal assistants, notary public, so they can help them.
Because a lot of things happen after that person passes away, and nothing has been written down. The
And-
kids start.
Yes, the kids start fighting. The kids
And
start
I've
disliking
seen,
each other,
and I have
etc.
seen situations. This comes to mind of someone I knew who lived with her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
They had lived together for a long time. This happened about 4 years ago, and he passed away, and his children put her out of the house, and she had been living with him that long, and he hadn't written anything down.
What a shame.
That was very sad.
Well, but certainly, and that's why I mentioned loved one. I don't mention husband, wife. All of those are loved ones. I do have friends and patients who are in the same situation. Some have written wills. Some have told their children, when I die, I want this to go to her, and they've put it in a will and an insurance policy. Others have not. So I mean,
it's
you
pretty
gotta take
simple
care of
to
your
do it.
business.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's so simple to do it, because later on, I mean, the fissures that develop in families are tremendous.
Especially when they think there's something that their loved one has that they should have a part of, and nobody's sharing it with them. They become fire-breathing dinosaurs, because they want, if it's $100 and there's 10 of them, they want their $10. Really.
If you have any questions for Dr. Betts, you can call us at 313-868-0342, 868-0351, or 868-4336. That's area code 313. If you have any questions about any of the issues we're talking about, as far as senior care, guardianship, or anything like that. I also mentioned to you real quick an intervention or counseling session that the family could be, say the parent or parents and all their children maybe sit there and
And
talk.
that's what the advanced directives attempt to do. It's
Okay.
a multi-page, maybe 10-page document. And a lot of families, if you've had a home health care nurse come into your house, in that packet should be an advanced directive. And it's a lot of documents, and we don't like to read, and we think that, oh, that's medical stuff, so I'm going to leave it on the table. But open it and look at it. You'll see, some of the wordage in terms of what you need to be thinking about in terms of your loved ones.
So can we get a hold of one of these advanced
Advanced directives.
directives?
Your physician should have them now. It is now recommended that everybody 65 and over at least be approached about talking to your loved one about things like that. And then be very, very clear that there are so many scams. If they scam us, they're going to scam the seniors. So if you have a loved one who is just not functioning real well, you may want to convince them to put your name on their checking account. You may want to ask them, if you're going to the bank, let me take you, because there are so many scams, and seniors have just been abused so much with everything that's out here.
Yes.
And I
yes.
know that seniors, the one thing you don't forget is your money, how much money you have and how much money's coming in.
Yeah.
You may forget what you ate this morning, but they don't forget how much money they have. And they are very protective of it. And they may be very uncomfortable putting somebody else's name on the checkbook.
Yeah.
But you may want to protect them by saying, okay, Mom, we'll have to have 2 signatures. So anything with 1 signature may not be cashed, because Mom may get the idea one day that she's going to go to the bank. And maybe the man around the corner is going to take her to the bank, or the woman, or the person right by a lot of seniors are preyed on right by the bank, right by the grocery store.
Yeah.
And then create havoc on their finances because they've gotten some checks. One of my very dear friends, when we really got a hold of her assets or her business, there was someone who had got her to sign a whole book of checks.
Oh my goodness.
And we traced his account to an account in Canada.
In
That's a
Canada?
true story.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that's a true story.
Wow.
So there's and she never shared anything with us, never. So I can, we don't.
Yeah,
need to
they become
scare you.
ashamed. They become ashamed when they've been taken advantage of.
And then sometimes the scammers, and especially the senior high-rises, we do home visits and we go into the high-rises. They don't want us to come on the first of the month because their friends come. Their friends that take care of them and with whatever they need. And we don't need to get into all the particulars on the show, but I'm sure you understand. So don't just tuck your loved one away in a senior citizen apartment. Go visit them at different times of the day, different times of the month, etc.
Right.
We know that not to go into the banks from the 1st to the 5th. But those scammers are just the opposite. We don't want to go into the banks because we don't want to wait in the long lines. The scammers are the opposites. Seniors aren't really warming up to technology, so they don't want to do direct deposit. They certainly don't know how to
They're
take a
still
picture of your
writing
check.
the checks and all of that.
Right. So we really have, even before the senior citizen apartment, you really need to get a good snapshot of who your loved one is, because they're not the individual, the active person that they used to be when you were a kid. It's the frame of your mother or father. It's the frame of your loved one. But again, look at the brain as an egg and a young, healthy, active brain, and the brain of a demented person as a spider web.
As a spider
Now,
web.
it could be an intricate spider web when it's mild dementia, but at the end of at the advanced stages of dementia, it's going to look like a loosely sprung.
Right.
spider
I know
web.
of people who've had dementia, and as it advanced, they became less active. They started developing physical ailments, more physical ailments, and so forth.
If you sat in a chair for a week and bent your elbow, when you got up, it was going to be hard to straighten it. So you can imagine your loved one. And we don't have our seniors are not honored like seniors in other countries.
Right.
And even though the federal government is trying to do a lot more with seniors, they still need to do a lot. I've traveled in different countries at 12 midnight, two little 80-year-olds swinging their purses on their left outer arm, locked arm in arm, just walking while the teenagers are running around them. And this is Korea, and my son taught over there for a year and a half, and I'm looking back at this like it was a surreal moment.
My son worked there
Yeah,
in Korea.
It is completely different. And when we see someone walking past us, we sort of cringe.
And we clench our purse.
And we shouldn't do that
Yes.
because there are wonderful people, wonderful males and females who pass us day to day that don't want to do us harm, but we're conditioned to believe that somebody's going to harm us.
Right, right. So with dementia, okay, now Alzheimer's, that's diagnosed earlier, as you said.
It's pre-senile dementia.
Okay.
And senility is in the 60s, 62, 65.
Okay. What are some of the signs?
Same.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dementia, repeating yourself,
Yeah,
not
we
with
get that.
names, not saying, "Oh, I
Right.
forgot your name," because we all forget names. That is not one of the signs or diagnostic symptoms of dementia, but weight loss, repeating yourself, forgetting to lock the door,
What about
keeping your car on.
Alzheimer's?
Same symptoms, but you're just younger.
Wow.
You're just younger. I had a 45-year-old that couldn't button her blouse. She was so advanced. So eventually, if you can't remember your daughter's name, you're not going to be able to do those fine motor movements of buttoning and combing
So in
your
a
hair.
case like that, what does a family do with a person who's not quite a senior yet and everything, and they are showing these signs? What do you do?
You have to get an emergency guardianship, because if you don't, now the country demands that we call adult protective services.
Yeah.
If we see that a person is incapacitated, they live alone, and their family are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, we have to call adult protective services. Adult protective services will come into the house and make a determination if they need a guardian. They will take that case to the court, and I'm making it very simple. Take the case to the court, and the court will appoint them a guardian. And there are quite a few guardian companies. They give 'em-
Guardian
Yes,
companies.
yes.
You hear that, everybody?
They give 'em-
Guardian companies.
Yes, they give them to a guardian company, and they become the loved one. Absolutely. They say, oh, this person is going to go to Cadillac. This person is going to go to Highland Park. This person is going to go to Monroe. And I have to administer all of their funds. We got to sell their house, dissolve their insurance policies, etc. So it is very important that families realize what they're risking. Not only the physical love of their loved one, mother, father, grandmother, etc., but that companionship and that ownership of that relative. We cannot.
And they can do that.
They do that. Not can. They do it every day.
Oh,
They
okay.
do it every day. And certainly I've been I've had some experience with that. And but it's for the safety of the incapacitated person.
Okay, well, you have this person, and you want to move them, say, into your house or assisted living, but all of this costs money. Now, say if you move them into your house and they need care, but you have to work.
That's a major problem. And you don't want anybody in your house while you're not there.
Right, right.
That's why you need to start. Well, first of all, we need to begin to prepare for our senior years when we're young. It's almost an oxymoron, because nobody thinks you're ever going to get old.
I know.
And that's when you're 20 and 30, nobody cares. But as Rich Dad, Poor Dad says, and it's real simple, if you start as a 20-year-old, you should be a millionaire by the time you're 40, if you do things right. And if you put all those things in place, by the time you're 65 or 70, you should have enough money to live off of. The reason that a lot of Americans retire at 62 to 65 and go back to work at 66 or 68 is because they can't live off of their retirement. And according to my accountant, your retirement amount, if you don't have stocks and 401k, et cetera, is 41% of your normal employment wages. And if we can't live off of 100% of employment wages, how can we live off 41% after you retire?
Right, right.
So
right.
there's a lot of things that go into before we get to the dementia stage, and I'm hoping your listening audience can at least begin to have these conversations, not only with your family, maybe with your minister, maybe with a lawyer, maybe and with your doctor, because now we have to make sure that the patients that trust us with their care needs to trust us with their care, not only in the office but outside of the office.
Wow.
Yes.
So, what is senior placement?
Senior placement may mean a lot of things. It may mean the guardianship company taking the senior, placing them somewhere. I have a patient at this point. He was discharged from the nursing home, stayed in the nursing home 100 days, and his insurance paid. Got him stronger, went home one morning, went back to the emergency room that night. The hospital then said he cannot go back home. We have admitted him to be placed. That is senior placement. We can go into a place called Hartford Village. I have to give my church's new development a plug. Hartford Village, and rent or buy an apartment or cottage, and we leave our homes and we will be placed there. And it's just a term moving you to a safer, smaller, more secure place in a community of like kind. You don't, as we get older, we don't want to hear a lot of noise. So the seniors the requirement to be in certain communities is being 55 or older. So your families will place you in a senior community.
Now, aren't these very expensive?
Some can be. They're subsidized as well by
Your income?
your income. Well, by
the seniors in-
Medicaid. Certainly Obamacare. I love Obamacare instead of the Affordable Care Act, but it is the Affordable Care Act. Now we all will have, or the ability to have insurance. And when you get to the place you can't take care of yourself, a lot of seniors will have to apply for Medicaid. Medicaid helps them survive. Medicaid will provide rent subsidy, food subsidy, medication
really?
subsidy, yes. And you can be placed in even American House with a Section 8.
You're kidding. I didn't know that.
I have patients who are there at this point. So what we don't know may be a hindrance to our loved ones living
That's why
in
I
a very
wanted you to
comfortable
come.
environment.
That's why
Yes.
I wanted you to come on. A lot of people do. Let's talk nursing homes real quick. A lot of people
I'm on staff
are,
on a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What should people look out for with these nursing homes when they're thinking about, and what kind of condition should an elder be in when they're put in a nursing home?
Well, a lot of families will go to a nursing home and look at the physical structure. And they say, oh, it looks nice, it looks clean, it's not smelly, and that's important. But more important is the physician that's going to be taking care of your loved one. So you should, first of all, ask your doctor, the one that you're familiar with, are you on staff at a nursing home? Then ask, if not, and most physicians are not, and ask, do you know a physician that you can refer me to for while my loved one's in this nursing home? Now, nursing home, the term says you live there. This is a home. But the rehab facility is attached to the nursing home. The rehab, you will go for rehab anywhere from a week to 3 months, and you go back home. Hopefully stronger, more independent, more secure, living alone. I have a patient who lives alone and her family doesn't want her to, and she's at the nursing home so we can evaluate, at the rehab facility, so we can evaluate her to determine whether she could go and live by herself. She's in her 80s. She's she's a diva in her own right, and if she can live by herself, why not?
Right.
She is at a nursing home, but she's at the rehabilitation area of it.
Okay.
So she will go home. In the event that she cannot go home, she only has Medicare. They apply for Medicaid, and Medicaid will will pay for them living in the nursing home. But this little young lady who I'm thinking about is going to go home.
So you're saying you could have Medicare and then get Medicaid too?
Most seniors have Medicare.
Right.
If you have been employed and have some benefits, they will have either Medicare and a supplemental insurance from either Blue Cross, and you can buy it from AARP.
Right.
And
Right.
they have a lot of different carriers. Medicare and your supplemental insurance will pay for your rehabilitation.
Okay.
They will not pay for your living.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Medicare is a health care insurance.
Right. Right.
Medicaid pays for your living expenses.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So when you go to the nursing home side, the physician still is reimbursed by Medicare because they're taking care of you. They're seeing you not as frequently as when you're in a hospital, but they'll see you. The minimum is once a month. Most times you have to see them much more than that. The medical care is covered by Medicare. The living expenses is covered by Medicaid. And those are the Medicaid. When you see
You can't have both.
You normally do have both, but the Medicare, which is insurance for seniors,
Right.
or for disabled, will only pay for medical expenses.
Right. Right.
When you live in the nursing home, Medicaid will pay for your living expenses.
Oh, okay.
So
So
they
would
pay
you
for your
apply
food.
for Medicaid?
You have to. Very good. I think I missed that part. Yeah, you have to apply for
Okay, that's
Medicaid, and they will keep you there if you're Medicaid pending. A lot of my patients who can't go back home, loved ones live out of town, only have Medicare. They have to come into town or either go online, michigan.gov, and apply for Medicaid. And when you're Medicaid pending, they won't. What do they send you? They can't discharge you because you have nowhere to go. So you apply for Medicaid, you become Medicaid pending, and they then are able to give you a long-term bed or long-term room. It's more than a bed, but it's a long-term stay capabilities. And then Medicaid will catch up on that payment after the Medicaid is
okay. That's very
given.
important.
Yeah,
That's very important information.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if I'm explaining it as simply as it's not a simplistic process, but the loved one, the family member, have to apply for Medicaid. Now, in the event that you don't have any family members, the social workers at the nursing home / rehabilitation facility will apply for you. Sometimes they will appoint you a guardian.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the days of patients going to nursing homes and shriveling up in a little ball in a corner and nobody ever seeing them again is over, because the nursing home facilities is the second highest regulated entities in this country. There's nuclear waste, and then there's nursing home facilities.
Really?
So they're very,
Because a lot of people are so afraid.
Absolutely. They're very, very highly regulated. And the state is, they have a book this thick, and I have one at home, so I can look through it every now and again that holds them accountable. If a patient says, oh, that nurse hit me, and no bruises, the state comes in and evaluates. They want to make sure that no senior is abused.
Well, that is good
Not
to know.
one. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, when a senior has to leave their home, they become attached to so much in their home.
Yeah.
How can we make that transition smoother for them?
Well, some it's a smooth transition, others it's not so smooth.
It's a kicking and screaming?
If you have physical conditions that prevent you from staying in your home, you have stairs, you got a big yard, leaves and snow, etc., you don't want to leave it because it has a lot of memories. Your husband's pictures on the wall, your wife's, little trinkets are on the table, your kids' little things are become whatnots, and that's what makes you who you are. That's the most difficult because your mind you got a good mind, you know what's happening, and you don't want to leave. But when you have dementia, and I think it is God's way of telling us we're leaving here and we don't know it. So it's a blessing. They don't know what's happening. They don't have a clue. So someone has to protect that 3-year-old who's in the body of your mother or your father or your aunt or your uncle, grandmother, grandfather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's harder when you have physical ailments than when you have a mental condition as dementia.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about some of these home health care places that send somebody in to sit with the senior? What do you think about that?
Well, certainly there's a wide range of recommendations and issues with them. There are some very, very good ones. Before I send a home health care agency out to see my patients, I interview them. And I share with them what my expectations are. Then I tell the patients what my expectations are, what they should be doing. And if they're not doing it, don't you get into a issue with them, just tell me. So that because the doctor is the one who will send the home health care company out. The doctor is the one that should be the medical advocate. And you become the social worker,
Right.
the big sister, the little sister, the medical advocate. And you have to be nowadays. We send them out when we realize that the patient needs some help in maintaining their health. They're not taking their insulin right. They've taken too many blood pressure pills. They bring in a whole bag of pills and they don't know what they are. So that the nurse can come out and evaluate the home.
How expensive does that run?
So Medicare pays for it. Medicare pays for that.
Medicare?
Yes, ma'am. Because it's medical care.
Oh, it is.
They don't just
medical
sit
care.
with the
Yeah,
patient.
yeah.
Medicare doesn't provide a chore worker.
Okay.
Medicaid does. But some of the home health care companies at their cost will provide one for the senior. They'll come in, maybe clean their house, get it cleaned up maybe once a week or twice a week. But the nurse comes into the home, evaluates the patient, calls the physician, calls me and tell me what they see in the home. Then if the patient needs physical therapy, occupational therapy, or speech therapy, they will make that recommendation. And most times they'll need physical therapy because seniors they don't have anywhere to go, so they sit all day. They sit all day and they get weak. They get weak, so they fall. They trip over all the rugs in their homes. So
speaking of runners, my mother from the front door all the way back.
Yes.
This runner.
You really need to take them out.
And we've been fighting over it. Seriously. I said, Mother, you have to take these runners up. You don't need them. It's not like you have high traffic. And she is so resistant, and that's another thing with some seniors. They become so stubborn.
No, they're not stubborn. You wouldn't say that to your mother at age 10. And you're the same distance in age. And we're going to get there one day.
Yeah.
Because my son said when he was in high school, and he said to one of his friends, and I overheard him, when I finish college, I'm going to put my mother in an old folks home. And I said, I'm not that old. I won't be that old. So we always think that now we got it. We need to be the parents. But if you were 30 when your child was born, you're still 30 years difference. And you're
Right.
still the mother. And they remember that.
Right.
They may not be able to remember to
absolutely.
turn the stove off, but they remember, I'm in charge of you. You shouldn't be in charge of me.
I know, but those runners.
Those are and most times they will take that recommendation from a medical professional before they'll take it from you.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I need to have somebody come. My mother has so many runners. I grew up with runners.
We all did.
I trip over runners. Remember the plastic runners?
No, the plastic covering on the
couch.
The couch in the living room.
Right.
Because the living room was for company.
Once it starts splitting, if you sit on it, it hurts you, But seriously,
Those are the good old days.
Seriously, those runners really, they bother me.
And they are a health hazard. Because if they sit all day and if they trip, and periodically we will trip on rugs when we're going in and out of businesses.
Yeah.
We catch ourselves because we got the muscle mass to right the body so we won't fall. We may stumble. When you are a senior and you're not moving around that much, you don't have that muscle mass. So when you stumble, you just keep going. And a physical therapy, when you send out a home health care company, they send out physical therapists who should be able to improve that muscle mass. If the family cannot take them to an outpatient physical therapy department.
Wow. Yeah, you try and make some recommendations. And like I said, I took the keys from my mom, but she's 94 years old. I think I maybe should have, but she insisted, and she hasn't got, she's been a decent driver, but she had a friend who actually did get lost, and her children put her, in a home. And she called my mother from the home and said she hates it at the home. And,
That's a
so
catch-22. I think the senior they should have some say-so in it. Even though, you need to have some happy medium. No, she can't go back to driving and living alone,
right,
but she should be able to have some say-so where she goes.
right,
And in my maybe when I was younger, there was maybe 5 or 6 of us that were always together, and we had this big dream about building a home in the South. So when we retired, we'd all go there, and we still have the same relationships. Well, but a fast speed ahead, a lot of things have changed.
yeah.
Some of them have medical conditions, some have financial conditions, some husbands want to go east and others want to go west. But that's one of the things that you need to begin to prepare for. Where do you want to live when you can't live in your home? If you can live in your home, how do you adult-proof it or senior-proof it so you won't fall? You won't burn anything down. You can live on one floor if you can't walk, etc. Those are some of the things that we need to begin to talk about.
Right.
But see, because we think we're going to be young forever. The baby boomers are pushing all these new inventions. The hormones for youth, the Viagra for stamina, the Botox for skin and the wrinkle-free skin, etc. So we don't think we're ever going to need that, but we will.
Oh, yeah.
We really will.
Yeah.
And as we look at your mother and my godmother, I kept her one day. She's no longer with us. So I said, "Here, go brush your teeth." And she was somewhere for 5 minutes. I went in the bathroom. Her toothbrush was in the toilet.
Oh.
She didn't know any different. So you can't scream and holler. Please don't get upset with your loved ones. That's the worst thing to do, is to scream and holler and assume that they can remember. Well, I told you. No, you can't do that.
Well,
It's like mist. When you talk to them, and you see the boiling water on the stove, and if you bring it down to that level, you see the mist when it's boiling.
right.
When you turn it off, it's gone. And they will remember as long as you're talking to them. But when you stop, it's gone.
Well, my mother had to learn a big lesson last week because she took off in her car. I kept calling, and I said, "Don't go anywhere." And her doctor told her not to drive in the winter. So I went out to where she lives, and I went to all the shopping centers. And to cut the story short, we eventually found her car in the Meyer shopping center.
You were relentless.
Yes, I
And
was.
And you were fortunate to find her.
My daughter went in, and there were 10 people around my mom. My mom had gone down every aisle in Meyer, and by the time it was time for her to leave, her legs had given out. She had literally shot
And
till
Mine's
she
is a
dropped.
yeah. Mine's is a big store.
And it's a huge
You
store.
don't go in there if you're going to get 3 things. You
It's-
just go to a little corner
right,
store because
right.
it's just, you want to see everything.
Right, but I think that is my mother's social life. She just, and then when my daughter went and got her car out the parking lot, and then we put her in the car. I mean, she literally could not walk anymore. We had her knees were bent and everything, and the way they found out was she was on her way out, and she sat, and then she saw one of the workers and said, "Would you go get my car?" But luckily we walked, came in just on time, and because they would have taken her to a hospital
They would have taken her to a hospital, but
and
that
then
is,
reported us.
but just look at the way she could be taken advantage of.
Yes,
Somebody could have walked up and says, "Oh, that's my mother. Give me the keys."
right.
And off.
And
So that was God.
That was
Absolutely.
That was God.
Absolutely.
That was God.
Absolutely.
I'm very.
But that's
blessed
happening
with that.
so many times, so much. You see a senior, and I would beg your audience not to blow, not to speed around them. Just think, this is my mother. What would I do if I'm in back of my mother and she's just driving real slow? you're going to be very patient because if you blow your horn, it's going to make them.
It's gonna startle
It's going to
them.
create more havoc. Try to. I don't think seniors want help. If
But
you-
I think in this case, for my mom, it was her wake up call. It was.
Oh,
She
that's good.
needed, because as much as we had told her, she needed that wake up call. And she said, I was embarrassed. I thought I could do it. And then when we opened the trunk, there were 1 million bags from Target.
So she's been shopping all day.
She literally shopped till she dropped.
Wow.
And it's that mind that says that you can do. And the body.
Yeah, but I would recommend for your mother a exercise program, and if she's in a
She
in
rides her bike every day.
okay, but that's I don't know. I
That's
think that
the
may be
leg.
cardiovascular. I don't
Okay.
think her legs are strong enough.
Right.
But some resistance exercises for her legs, because I don't know how long she's been out. If she'd been out all day, I think we would drop. But I think you're going to have problems with her because her mind is good,
Her mind is great.
and she's going to think again. Well, I'm rested. It's sunny. There's no snow. I'm just going to go around the corner.
And that's what she said. She said, well, the day wasn't too bad, and I heard it was going to snow tomorrow, and this and that and the other thing. But I said, but still, you don't pay attention to your purse when it's in the shopping cart. You have it on that little thing that the children ride in, and she turns her back. She wants to see the bread. She wants to see the fruit. She wants to see things like that.
I think that's a senior entity, because most seniors they don't want you to go to stop shopping for them. They want to go and
Do it
feel the
themselves.
bread,
So we-
and look
yeah.
at the
Yeah.
greens.
So we need to go with them. What's your
Yes.
contact information, Dr. Betts?
My phone number is 248-967-1888. My office is 21040 Greenfield Road, and I'm in Oak Park.
And it's Dr. Margaret Betts,
Yes.
capital Betts.
Yes. For your listening audience, this is a very serious, important discussion that you should begin to formulate and to have with your loved ones, regardless of the age.
Right. Because, it's all going to happen to all of us, and I've gotten so much information. We have Sandra on the line real quick. We have about a minute or so. Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning. Can you hear us? We don't hear you. Call right back.
We're going to get you, Sandra. Just call right back.
So,
Yeah, it's hopefully it will spark some interest with families once the information settles in. And then you can email me at bettsmedicalgroup@yahoo. If you can't get through my office because there's a lot of calls, I'm at bettsmedicalgroup@yahoo.com. And I think we're now getting my website together. What I will do is put some of this stuff on the website as well.
it's so important. This is a
Yes.
conversation that we need to have. And you can contact Dr. Betts. And I just love having this conversation because the baby boomers are alive and well, but there are a lot of things that we don't know and haven't done. So I want to thank you for this discussion. It
you're
has
quite
been
welcome.
so informative to us. And this may be Sandra. May we have a second? I think. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. We have
Hi.
30 seconds.
Oh, okay, I just really quick, I need help in what do I do with my mom who has dementia. I have guardianship, and I cannot keep her from calling everybody on the phone, from the police to the fire department to area on aging. I mean, she will call anybody all times of the night and have police coming here saying that she's been abused.
First of all, you need to make sure she has a physical examination to see what degree of dementia she has and what other diagnoses she has with it. You can have dementia with confusion, with hostility, with aggression, with paranoia. So therefore, and then she needs to be put on some medication. And there's
She
quite
has been evaluated 3 times because she is in denial and she refuses to take the medication.
Okay, if you're the guardian, uh, leave your number and I will call you. Okay, so I can give you some ideas. It's because
we have to
Miss
wrap.
Perryman is getting a little anxious, and I can't give you the full information that you need. So I'll talk to you offline.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
Sandra, thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
calling.
you, Ms.
And any others who
Perryman.
need some information, just leave your number with Miss Perryman, and I will get back to you.
Okay.
Just mention her name, though.
My producer is going to take your number right now. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
But that's a problem.
I'm sorry, because it'll end up going off the air, and we'll be talking, and nobody will be listening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what happens, because I could sit and talk to you all day. Everybody, let's thank Dr. Betts. Oh,
You're quite welcome.
what would I do without you?
Listen,
You're my
We're
go.
connected at the hip now.
You're my go-to girl. So thank you so
You're
much. And the
welcome.
phone number once again is
248-967-1888.
Thank you so much.
You're
And I'll
quite
see you
welcome.
this
I
afternoon
enjoyed
for
it.
Table Talk. We have an interview with Jennifer Lewis, who played the mother in What's Love Got to Do with It.
Very good.
Thank you.